What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Reseller Life. We got a Monday sold video for you. Although it's Tuesday, I just didn't have time to make the video last time or yesterday. So I won't waste any time. We'll get right into it. We got 30 orders going out. It was actually 31, but one was priority, had to go out yesterday. It was a Cutco carving knife that I found at Savers for $4 and sold for $35 shipped. So next we got, and that knife took about 3 weeks to sell. This is a DeMarini softball bat. It's a slow pitch softball bat. A lot of times they'll be marked on there if it's slow pitch or fast pitch. This is slightly older bat. It is a double wall distance 2000. I don't know if the 2000 mean that's the year. I think it is the year, but I found this at the Goodwill for $5. It sold for $55 in 24 hours. So really good find, really good flip. One thing to tell with softball bats and baseball bats, if you know you got a good one or not without looking at the model number, typically they have the model number on them, is there'll be a big notch right about here from the stem to the barrel, and that means it's either 2 or 3 pieces. If you're getting into the 2 or 3 piece bats, you typically found a good one. So that's something to look out for if you find bats. All right, next up, there's another one. So this is a vintage lacrosse stick. A lot of times on these lacrosse sticks, you'll see a model or a maker right here on the side or on the top, sometimes on the bottom of the stick or a number on the bottom. This one doesn't have any of that. So I didn't get quite as much for it. I found it at Savers for $6. Listed it for $100 because that was kind of like the lower end of the vintage lacrosse sticks. And it sold within just a few hours for $100 plus shipping. And shipping on this was probably going to be about $25. And there's damage on it too. So a lot of people, they're not using these to play for them. They're using them for decorative pieces and stuff like that. They can go $300, $400, $500, $600 if you got the right models, and it'll typically say it on the top or on the side here. So no make of an old lacrosse stick, just a generic one, $100, $6 into $100. Really good find, really good flip, real fast. Next up, we have, so this is an LL Bean sweater vest. It is very hot right now here in Arizona. It's already breaking the 100-degree mark, so we're pretty much in summer and still selling sweaters. This is a fleece sweater vest, so it's not like a windbreaker style or anything like that. It's for the colder weather. It was listed for 4 months and sold for $18. My buy cost was $2. Next up, let's find it here. I got over 30 sales here, so some of this stuff's going to be a little tricky to pull up. It's going to take a few seconds. I hope you guys can hear me all right with the headset, better than before. So this is a Stussy hat. Stussy, that's their logo. That's how you, well, spell it. This is not a vintage one. The vintage ones do extremely well, and you can get really, really high margins on it. This is more of a retro style Stussy bucket hat, sun hat. These are keywords. This sold for $12 in just under a month, and I paid about 20 cents for it. Next up, I don't know if anybody's probably going to find it because I get these wholesale from one of my connections. This is a Cisco AirNet wireless access point. I sell them. I get these in the thousands. They're really slow movers. This model in particular is a really slow mover because it's a dated model. I sold a lot of 4 of these for $25. This could have taken 6 months to a year to sell. But some of these, they look like this. Some of the more modern models for them sell really, really well. Like if you have the newest of the new models, they all look the same, so you got to look at the model. They can go for $200, $300, $400 just for one unit. So this, I sold a lot of 4 of these for $25. I would just throw it up and say it took 3 to 6 months to sell it. My buy cost on those are 50 cents a piece. Next up is a Shark charging adapter. It's for the charging port where the electric Shark, kind of like the little Roomba vacuums go. This is the AC adapter or power adapter that goes to the charging unit. I paid $4 for this and it sold for $15 in about 10 days. Look them up. Something for an expensive electronic like a Bose system, lots of Sony stuff, Shark vacuums, the cordless ones, the Dyson cordless ones. The power adapters themselves do really well. Everybody's got puppies and stuff like that, you know, that chew that kind of stuff up. So they need replacements, and you can get good money for them. Next up, these are Nike track shoes. This is another wholesale purchase. I actually bought these over the weekend I bought 16 pairs of them. I paid $3 a pair. They're all new. And these are Nike High Jump Elite Track and Field shoes. These ones didn't have the spikes with them, so I discounted them a little bit because some people don't want to have to buy the spikes. So I marked it about $20 cheaper than what they go for. This sold for $80 in about 2 days. And track shoes are not something to look past at Goodwills or any thrift stores or the bins or anything like that. They sell really well for me, even if they're not new. Used track shoes do great, and wrestling shoes also do great. So look out for track shoes and wrestling shoes. Cleats, not as well. Cleats, not as well. Football cleats, soccer cleats, baseball cleats, they don't do as well as wrestling shoes and track shoes. This is another pair that I got over the weekend, sold in just a couple of days. These aren't the ones that have spikes. These have a flat, heavy toe and heel to them. Let's see. All right, these are Nike Zoom Rotation 6s, and these are for disc and shot put and stuff like that, throwers in the track and field game. So these sold. There was a little bit more in the market for these, so I got $70 for these. My buy cost was $3. Some of the track shoes that I got sell for much higher, but that size and that color, there was actually a lot to choose from. So I undercut everybody else by about $15 on those, so they would sell quickly. Next up, we have some jeans. These are BKE Drew. So BKE Drew, you'll have the model numbers on these BKEs on the inside. Tag here, you'll see right there, so you see BKE Drew boot cut. These took 6 months to sell, and they sold for $20. My buy cost was $4. Another sweater, hoodie. Apparently they're still selling. This is a Northern Michigan Wildcats hockey team. This is older. I don't know if it's vintage per se because it's an off-brand tag. I don't know what that brand is. It looks vintage, but I didn't put it in there because I wasn't sure. That's the hockey logo. Paid $2 for it. It sold for $25 and took about 3 weeks to sell. This is another part of some of my wholesale connections. This is a umpire or catcher's mask. It's just the replacement mask, no shell, no nothing like that, but it also has the straps. And I think that's probably what sells it more than the mask itself, because those masks are pretty durable. I think it's the straps that kind of wear out, and people need replacement for their straps. So because these masks, these helmets can get really expensive. So let me find it. This took a year to sell. I paid $1 for it, and it sold for $35. But I've also sold about 7 in these in the last year, so I think I got 1 left. Not something I would recommend picking up because it did take a very long time to sell. These sold. this weekend. These are, I think it's G&H Bass, GH Bass, GH Bass, Bass, B-A-S-S and Company. So typically you're gonna find shoes in this brand. They're nice shoes. They got a decent sell-through rate. You look up the comps and the models on it. That's the logo on it. The person actually bought 2 polos from me for one order. They're both the same size. One's just slightly darker than the other. He paid $14 for one and then sent me an offer for the other one at $12, and I went ahead and took it since I'm going to ship them out together. It'll save me shipping costs, plus, you know, he's already paid for one, so I gave him a discount on the other. So 14 for one, 12 for the other. I paid $1 each for them at the Goodwills out here. Goodwills out here on Thursdays, whatever is their like cheapest things that was half price, and now they're kind of reaching their age limit, and they're going to send them to the outlet bins or the rag houses or something like that. They try to sell everything on a one-day $1 sale on Thursdays out here. So I got that on both of those on the Dollar Day Thursday. This is a Honeywell thermostat. I put the batteries in them to test them out, so that's all I test them is to that point, and then I'll check some of the functions and stuff like that. I've sold thousands of these, and I've probably had 2 returns out of thousands for them not working when they replace them. And replacing them is really easy. They take one off and they pop another one on, so it's not real labor intensive for anyone. I got this at a local thrift for $1, and it sold for $13. Took 2 weeks to sell. This is another one of my wholesale purchases. I get Nike softball pants by the pallet. So I'll probably get $200, $300, $400, $500 pairs at a time. I don't recommend used softball pants to sell. They're not fast movers for me. This pair got $15. I take offers down to $8 on these, and I list them at $15. So somebody paid full price for this. I sell 2 or 3 pairs a month. So. But I have every size and every color, so I have lots of options. I wouldn't say that those sell for $15 every single month, but if you have the right size and the right color, you have enough options like I do, they sell fairly consistently. Next up, I got it over here. This is kind of an off-brand, but it's just an old Western cowboy hat. And that's pretty much how I listed it, as a vintage, rustic, wool, distressed, kind of like a movie prop kind of hat or decorative piece, wall hanger. It's tore up on the inside. I don't know if you can see that. The lighting's a little weird. But it's tore up on the inside. It's got moth holes on the outside of it. It's just kind of really roached out, but it gives it a lot of cool character, which is really the selling point for it. So actors can use them in pieces, because for shows or movies or anything like that. I do sell a lot of stuff to filming companies out of California, or people that just like the Southwestern theme or the Western theme. They use them as decorative pieces in the house, or you can wear it if you want to look like a cowboy, I guess. So anyhow, I got this at the Goodwill bins. I paid less than $1 for it, and it sold for $30 in about 2 weeks. So, decent sell. Next up, I actually didn't grab them, but I have a pair of Nike football pants. Same thing as the softball pants. I get them in wholesale for, I pay less than $1 a piece for them. So, and those sold for $12 to a repeat buyer. I think that buyer's actually bought probably about 7 or 8 pairs of football pants from me. Same thing with the softball pants and a lot of the other sporting equipment I sell them to the same people a lot, and I think they're like coaches or staff at schools, middle schools, high schools, or little leagues and stuff like that. Next up, this is a Vineyard Vines polo. Vineyard Vines used to be such a phenomenal brand for me. I used to get, $50 for t-shirts, polos, and a lot of other clothing from them. It's definitely fallen off. So this was listed for 2.5 months, 3 months, and it's just a women's basic cotton linen polo. The Vineyard Vines logo is this little whale right here. It's still a brand to pick up, but you're not going to get huge margins on it anymore. And this was partial linen too, and linen does really well. But I paid $1 for it at the Goodwill Dollar Day sale, and it sold for $12. Next up, you have a King Cobra 6 iron. This sold for $17 plus $15 shipping, and it took about 9 months to sell. So King Cobra is a good brand. This is an older model, and it was a single iron, so it's not going to sell as fast as full sets, and it's not going to sell as fast as complete sets. And it's got like water in it. It's like leaking. I might have gotten on it when I hosed it down and cleaned them off, because I get a lot of golf clubs at once, and sometimes they get pretty dirty and dusty, and I'll just hose them all down and scrub them all down together. All right. Next up, I got this on so this is actually not the part. This is an intake for a Honda Fit. Just an automotive part. Automotive parts do really well if you know automotives. So this is an intake in the intake box. It's pretty much brand new. The person that purchased it, they purchased the car. They wanted to put a fancy high performance intake on there, so they took this off and put the new one on as soon as they got home. So it was nice to be able to put that in the title, that it was basically new. And I paid $10 for it on a Facebook Marketplace deal, because I actually went there to buy a lot of apparel, and we kept on reaching kind of like a number like 290 something or whatever, and it's like, okay, how can we make this like a round number? What else do you got? Asking questions, video games, game consoles, baseball cards, you know, any type of collectibles or any type of old stuff. And she's like, I got these intakes for the car that I had, and they're brand new, and they got the model numbers on them. That's one thing about automotive parts, is a lot of them will have the model numbers right there on the part, so it makes it easy to list. There's the model number right here, and it says Honda on there, so you know it's a genuine Honda part. There's another model number right there, so just Google it, look it up. Anyhow, I paid $10 for it. It sold for $80, and it took 1 month to sell. Next up, this is a pair of, some of that water leaked on here. I don't want to get on the pants or anything like that. This is a pair of Eileen Fisher. I don't know a lot about women's brands, but Eileen Fisher I know is a good brand. And these are just kind of like cargo modern parachute pants, beige color. They sold for, thank you for whoever is bearing with me while I'm having to look these up. I know it's taking a few seconds. They sold for $23, and they took 1 month to sell. My buy cost was $2, so I probably got them at the bins. Next up, this is a cool one. This is a vintage Seattle Supersonics warm-up shirt. That's basically the thickness and the style of it. It makes it the warm-up shirt. One thing about this team, the Seattle Supersonics, this is one of their logos. This right here is, they don't exist anymore. So this is a really sought after team for any type of apparel, especially if it's true vintage and it's not a reproduction, because they sold the team to another city or something like that. So there is no longer the Seattle Supersonics. So that stuff typically does really well. I actually got that piece from the same lady that I got the car parts pieces from, and I paid $10 for it. I expected it to go for about $50, but it sat around long enough to where I took an offer of $30. But some of that stuff can go up into the hundreds, especially the cool, really loud hats and stuff like that. They can go for hundreds of dollars. So, and that took 3.5 months to sell. Paid 10, sold for 30. All right, this I found at a Goodwill last weekend. It took 24 hours to sell. It's a TI. And that water's leaked out all over the place. It's nasty. Anyhow, it's a TI 89 titanium calculator. I did test it. It does work. It did have a little bit of corrosion on the battery compartment. You want to look for that. And I typically use like a Q-tip and a little knife and a little file to clean it out along with some rubbing alcohol. And I've always had good luck doing that. It cleans it up really nice. And it worked before I did that, but you know, it's just to let it be known that that happened, and also noted in there that it happened, but it still works and it's cleaned and everything like that. So just because a battery exploded inside there, don't give up on it immediately. You know, try to clean it up, test it. And in most cases for me, this stuff still works. So it just needs to be cleaned. It doesn't take that long to do. It cost me $5. It sold for $44 in 24 hours. Next up, we have a Chicago Bears tank top made by Majestic. Men's XXL. This thing is in like brand new condition. It's really nice. It took 4 months to sell, paid $2 for it. It sold for $12.50. It didn't, the likeliness of it selling when I listed it, which is closer to December, wasn't great. So it was more of a long tail item. I expected it to kind of sell this time of year, but still pretty good, 2 into 12, and it's an easy lister. Next up, we have a pair of Wrangler cargo shorts. Wrangler's not that great of a brand. You do have some outliers with Wrangler, so you can look them up. But overall, for the most part, it's not a great brand, but it had a lot going for it. First of all, it's cargo, which is in style. That's that 90s Y2K look, which is popular right now. It's camo. Camo is very popular right now as well. And it's also distressed. There's some holes, rips, fading. So all these things together make it a good product, no matter what brand it is. I paid $2 for these. They sold for $20, and they sold in about 5 days. There's something with Wrangler that do good, especially their vintage pearl snaps and some of their higher lined jeans, like the George Strait jeans, the Wrangler 47 Rock, the Wrangler 20X series. They have some outliers that are good, but for the most part, Wrangler's, you know, not a fantastic brand. Next up, we have, oh, this doesn't all fall. Okay, get out. All right, this is a knee brace for like post-surgery and stuff like that. It's a Breg T-scope. I like these. They don't go, so there's another brand called Donjoy. Those are more particular to your left knee or right knee, and it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. You have to be really knowledgeable on it. And there's a lot of parts and pieces and pads and straps, so you got to make sure everything goes together and everything's there. If not, note it. But these are universal. They go on your left knee or right knee. They can go either way because they adjust. So for the last 6 months to a year, always get $20 a pair for these. So if I can get them for $5 or less, I jump on them. I got this at a local thrift store, a Desert Industry, which is a great thrift store, by the way. For $4, it sold in 4 days for $20. Lost you for a second. That's all right. Next up, we have a Brooks running shirt. Brooks makes some really good shoes. You want to look for the shoes on these. Look them up though, because they make a lot of different models, but if they're in good condition, pretty much you're going to sell any of them that are in really good condition. They do get a lot of wear on them because they are running shoes and people wear the heck out of them. This is a basic Brooks running shirt. Took 3.5 months to sell for $12. My buy cost was $4. So that wasn't a particular great buy on that one. I think probably paid a little too much for it. Next up, this is a Sanyo remote control. Pick up a lot of remote controls. This is just a bread and butter one. I paid 25 cents for this, and it sold for $8.88. Took less than a month to sell. One of these days I'll show a video on how to test. Actually, I could probably explain it right now real quick on how to test remotes. So you want to put fresh batteries in them, and then you get your phone, you flip it around, or you flip it front and point it into your cell phone and press every single button. On the reflection back should show. Sorry, another interruption. I had a little scare. My son was actually, I'm out in my office shed, is where I do my shipping, and my son came out taking out the trash, and I heard him yelling for me, and you can just tell like when it's like for real, when they're actually scared of something and something's going on. And so I went out there, and there was a big 3.5 foot rattlesnake right by our front door. He stepped right next to it. It was crazy. Anyhow, it has a new home now. So I left off talking about testing remotes. You put batteries in, you take your cell phone, flip the camera facing you, press each button, and you should see this little light, this little bulb in here flicker every time you hit a button, and you know that button works. So that's how you test your remote controls. Another part, it's actually inside the house getting washed. It's a Cuisinart food processor blade. One thing about the blades is some of them on the blade itself will have a couple little rivets on there. If those rivets are on the blades that go into the food processor, don't list them, don't sell them, because they've been recalled, because those rivets come off and they end up in people's food. So if you get one of the blades or the one of the Cuisinarts, the rest of the parts are fine. It's the blade itself. If it has the rivets on there, don't list it. If it doesn't have the rivets on there, it should be fine. Cuisinart FP12DC is the model number on it. Food processor blade. It sold for $23, and it took about 4 days to sell, and my buy cost was $1. Because I got the entire food processor for I think $8. I got 8 parts off of it. I parted each part off, so I just kind of averaged it out to $1 per part. Let's see. Next up, we have the wrong item pool, so we'll have to figure out what happened there. Honestly, I don't see anything else, so we actually might be done. Let me take a quick skim through it. I'll try to be more organized next time so this video doesn't drag out so long. But it looks like that's all of it. I got a pair of Dickies shorts. They have they're size 40 ripstop. They took 2 weeks to sell. Buy cost was $1, and they sold for $15. That's probably what this is supposed to be. Sometimes my brain gets a little scrambled and I grab the wrong inventory number. But that's it. So thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, you are a trooper, and I appreciate you.